Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of my F1 2018 career mode. Today we are here for round number 17 of the season for the Japanese Grand Prix here at the legendary Suzuka circuit, one of my favourites on the calendar along with Spa. If you guys missed round 16 for the Russian Grand Prix, then check out the race guys by clicking on the card in the top right hand corner of your screen as always before we get into any further spoilers. Now as you can see on screen, no rain expected this weekend, which is good news. Along with that we do have an upgrade on the car for the chassis, and this is actually an ultimate upgrade which we've been planning for the last 3 races, and it's finally arrived on the car for this race. Unfortunately no more upgrades to go with it, but this will do for now in terms of trying to improve the car in the short term, and hopefully we can add some more to that at the end of this episode. Fingers crossed. We've already got another another ultimate on the way for Mexico I believe, so I want to try and add to that in this episode if possible. As you can see on the R&D chart, we're currently quite a way away from Sauber, but that's 2 races in a row now that Sauber haven't brought any upgrades. So could it be the end of them upgrading and maybe focusing on next season? You never know, but we're going to keep pushing on here because we're going to try and close that deficit, because Sauber are still far too quick in terms of just general pace, and we need to try and stop them as much as we can. So let's see how it goes. But first of all, for this race, I should have done it last race to be honest, but I kind of forgot, so we're going to do it for this one. We're going to put on our last fresh and final kind of available power unit components for the rest of the season. So the good news is we should be quite competitive now with those on the car for the remaining races, and all in all it's going to make for a very interesting end to the season. As things stand, I believe the gap at the top of the table I think is 20 points, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So give or take, if I finish second in every race and Leclerc finishes first, it would take him 3 races to overturn the deficit. So right now the focus this weekend is all about just damage limitation and trying to hold on to at best second place in the races, and maybe try and beat Leclerc in some of them, but being realistic, second place in the race is what we can hope for. So let's see how it goes. We're going to first of all hit the track in qualifying. We're going for 3 runs in this session as we always do, and my best run in this particular session was actually my final lap for a change, so we'll go on board with that lap in a moment's time. But first of all we're going to focus on our first lap, which to be fair, around this track, I've got to be honest, in practice the car didn't feel that good. I did a few setup changes for qualifying and the balance still wasn't completely there. I wasn't happy 100% and I was struggling with the car. You can see here through turns 1 and 2 I ran very, very wide there, and that's going to cost me about a tenth or 2 and put me on the back foot straight away. And then through the S's I'm trying to recover that lap time, and to be fair the car was working better in qualifying than in practice. In practice I kept on spinning the car, but even then in qualifying, as we'll see here again through the Dunlop, we have a huge slide. We just catched the rear end there right at the last second, but we kept on with the lap and we pushed on regardless of the incidents. And to be fair, it was still a pretty okay lap elsewhere, and it's going to be a pretty okay banker in terms of getting an idea of where the car pace is. And we do go P2 behind Marcus Ericsson in the Sauber, so not too bad, but we can improve. We know that those mistakes are there from the first runs, and on my second one I did not do those mistakes. You can see I'm already 3 tenths up here as we go through sector 1 and setting a purple first sector in the process. Meanwhile Leclerc and Vettel also put themselves into the top 3, so we're currently in P4 here behind Marcus Ericsson as we now go through 130. We haven't really found much more time on the rest of the lap, so as you can see, we're only still 3 tenths up here as we now go through the final chicane, the Casio triangle, and we're trying to find a little bit more lap time here. We're just about going to improve and find another 10th there, and we're going to improve by 4 tenths, but still only P3. Sebastian Vettel currently sitting in P2, Marcus Ericsson now P4, but here we go. This was my best lap of the session, so let's go on board for it here and let's see how it goes. These cars are so fast now with the regulations, but let's see how fast this lap is. Straight away, turn 1, you want to turn at the 50-meter board and then go down a couple of gears for turn 2, keep it nice and tight, let the car run wide then on the exit as we now bring it into the S's. A little bit early on turning there, but luckily we didn't get an invalidation as we throw the car into these S's. All about setup work, a good car underneath you and having that consistency and momentum. And this time we go up through the Dunlop, no issues here whatsoever as we pretty much easily flat, and we're 2.5 tenths up here as we now go into the first of the 2 Degners. Again, keeping it nice and tidy through here. Through this second one I actually ran a little bit wide on my last lap, and we found a little bit more time there on the exit as we now go up towards the hairpin, breaking down to second gear and then later on first to get the rotation, as we then short shift into third to get the power down. And so far so good here, pretty much half a second up on my final attempt. And to be fair, I didn't really know we had this much pace left in the tank. I really thought there was maybe a tenth or 2 in it at max. So right now I'm on a really good lap, but I run a little bit wide there into Spoon. I missed my apex through the first one, lose about a tenth of a second, which is really annoying because he was doing so well up to that point. The lap was absolutely perfect, and we could have done with that, not doing that mistake. But now through sector 2, we're still up here by a little bit on Charles Leclerc as we now go up towards the final chicane here, the Casio Triangle, using third gear to get the car slowed down a bit deep on the first one, but we are going to get the car rotated enough to get a good exit, and then we're going to bring the car over to the right hand side for the shortest run to the line. DRS open, and we cross the line and we match Charles Leclerc's lap on the left hand side. We're actually 1,000th off on the right hand side of the screen, but we matched Leclerc's pole time, but not for long, as Leclerc crosses the line and puts us out of our misery and improves by 2.5 tenths of a second. But still, a very close qualifying. I think I gave Leclerc a good run for his money. Pole was out of the question, and if I'd not done that mistake at Spoon, I reckon I would have found another 10th, maybe 10th and a half. But I don't think I could have beaten that lap from Leclerc, because literally the lap up until that mistake at Spoon was absolutely perfect. So not much more we could have done, and I got the maximum out of the car, which is always what I'm looking for, and I was very, very happy with that, especially considering the gap to Sebastian Vettel there and Marcus Ericsson. Speaking of which, Ericsson actually didn't beat the Vettel, so it's a Ferrari 2-3, which is good. We split the Saubers on the grid for tomorrow's race, and then we've got both of the Renaults, Alonso, Perez, Magnussen, and Ricciardo rounding off the top 10 there for your grid for the race tomorrow. But now we're going to start on the front row. Can we put Charles Leclerc under pressure in the race tomorrow off at the start? I guess we will find out very, very shortly, but first of all, let's tackle an interview, and then we'll move into the race for round number 17 for the Japanese Grand Prix. The pressure is on Leclerc here, not on us. Let's try and do some damage limitation and try and at least get that second place at best.
It's always good to qualify at the front, isn't it? Do you feel that you don't need to practice? Appreciate your time.
And a very warm welcome to the Japanese Grand Prix, an event that has decided a driver's championship 11 times over the years and has hosted some very memorable races as well. Who can forget Kimi Raikkonen's win from 17th on the grid in 2005, or Kamui Kobayashi's incredible drive to a podium in 2012. 18 corners make up a lap of the incredible figure-of-8 Suzuka circuit, with 10 to the right and 8 to the left, for a distance of 3.6 miles. Average lap speeds around here are fairly quick. If it stays dry, then expect somewhere in the region of 136 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about Martinez. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Martinez completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Ericsson, Nico Hülkenberg, and Sainz, Alonso, Perez, Magnussen, and Daniel Ricciardo, Verstappen, Ocon, Romain Grosjean, and Hamilton, Van Dorn, Gasly, Valtteri Bottas, and Brendan Hartley. Stroll and Sergei Sirotkin rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay then, here we go. It is time for the Japanese Grand Prix. We start on the front row of the grid, and alongside Charles Leclerc, our championship rival, also Sebastian Vettel's P3, Marcus Ericsson's actually P4, so we've done a good job of splitting the Saubers here today, and we're going to need those points in the Constructors. If we can finish in these positions, that would be great, but I want to try and beat Leclerc if possible. The strategy is going to be quite interesting in this race, and it's going to really, I think, make or break the race. Now, the one stop is very, very marginal. The super soft onto the medium is possible, but extremely, extremely marginal. Then the other option is the two stop, which is the super soft onto the soft onto another soft. Now, I think either myself or Leclerc are going to go for one or the other, and it's going to be for a very interesting race. I think the pace is going to be very strong at the start. I think if I overtake Leclerc, then it's going to be strong as I've got to push, and even if I stay in second, I want to try and keep up with him. Therefore, it's going to be strong pace, regardless of whatever happens. So hopefully we can have a good start. Stick with Charles Leclerc and try and cause him a few problems as the race progresses. Fuel-wise, we are one lap over in terms of fuel, not too light, not too heavy, and pretty much the pressure is on for Leclerc because he needs to win, and all we got to do is try and hold on to the second place preferably. If we can beat him, that'd be great, but if I can just get second, I'd be happy, and I'm more looking at the Constructors this race. If Vettel can hold on to third place, that'd be a great result for us. So with that being said, we're going to jump into it here, and it is now time for the Japanese Grand Prix. So it's time for the race. Let's jump into it. Right, here we go. The 5 red lights come on here at Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix. Lights on, lights out, and away we go. And it's a good start from us, actually. We actually got the jump on Leclerc briefly. Now Ericsson goes down the inside. What a start from him. And there's contact between Ericsson and Vettel. We just avoid it. Vettel goes wide and he's off the racetrack. Ericsson holds on to third, but surely he must have damage. What a huge incident that was. Ericsson getting the run off the line there on the start, and what an incredible crash that was just behind us. I'm not really sure what's happened to Vettel. I think he's out of the race. 19 runners remaining. Yeah, I think Sebastian's out of the race. So all of a sudden we'll look like a good position for us in the constructors, has now been severely handicapped as it's 2 Saubers versus 1 Ferrari. But Scholl, Ericsson, you can see behind, he's already struggling. Vettel out the race confirmed, but Ericsson has damage, so I think Ericsson's in for a long race here today. So it's kind of payback in a way, the way Ericsson took out Vettel, so that's going to mean he probably won't score any points here today in the Sauber. But nonetheless, the race is on. We need to try and keep up with Leclerc if we can, and try and refocus and try and catch up to that Sauber. We actually got a good start off the line initially, but that crash kind of made me have to back out of it a little bit and lose a bit of time. So we need to try and refocus and try and get back past Leclerc if we can here, and try and make the overtake. Lap 1 though draws to a close, and we're 1.4 behind, so Leclerc's out of the RS already. So we need to try and step on it here and get him back within our grasp if possible. So let's get our head down and let's start pumping the laps. The Ericsson train could be an interesting one because it might open up the possibility of a 2-stop, because at this pace we're going to definitely open up a pit stop gap to third place come the pit stop, so that could open up the 2-stop possibility. So we'll keep an eye on it and see how it goes, see what Leclerc does on strategy as well. But this race is becoming quite interesting already here. Leclerc's pace is strong though, I gotta say, finding it hard to match. Literally just under a tenth off on that lap. And the DRS is now enabled, so I need to try and close up on this lap if I can. Get within a second of the Sauber if possible, preferably. And that will help us close in on him. Leclerc just seems too fast at the minute. I can't really contend with his pace. I'm literally less than a tenth off my previous lap, and he's going even faster still. Another purple lap, this time a lot faster from Charles Leclerc. We're only a tenth off my PB, but the gap now up to 2 seconds. It's just too fast for me at the minute. Another solid lap there, only a tenth off my personal best once again. Leclerc extends the gap. I'm going to cool things down a little bit because my tyres are starting to get a little bit hot now as well, and take it easy. I'm going to start, just focusing on strategy more. Leclerc's just a bit too fast, it seems, around here, so I'm either going to catch him out on strategy or he's just too fast and we set off a P2 this race. So let's see what we can do, and we're starting to get towards that phase now where the 2-stop might play into effect. So let's see how it goes, and let's keep an eye on the gap to Ericsson. And let's see how we can maybe try and win this race. Oh, rear tyres are just starting to let go a little bit. We're going to struggle to make it to lap 9, I think. That was a poor first sector, and tyres are struggling. Oh, track extension. So I'm going to go for the 2-stop. I'm struggling too much on these tyres. I'm going to come in, I'm going to go for the softs and go for the 2-stop strategy. I think we should have enough of a gap to Ericsson to make it happen, so we're going to play it safe. Into the final chicane, let's see what Leclerc does as well. Hopefully he goes for the 1-stop to make this race interesting. I think he is. Here we go, into the pit lane. Get it all slowed down, there we go. Right, we're going to go into the softs, we're going to go for the 2-stop strategy. Here we go. Nice quick stop, there we go, 2.4. Hopefully we rejoin in front of Ericsson preferably, because we're going to feed out in all that traffic otherwise, so fingers crossed we've got enough of a gap. One more lap would have really hurt me on the tyres. Here comes Ericsson though, and we've got a few cars coming to the pit lane, so we are going to have to get through some traffic, but hopefully it won't be for too long, as obviously we are now in the pit stop window. Up to speed, we're going to come up behind these 3 cars, so that's not ideal. I would have preferred just a little bit less traffic, but you know what, we'll take it. Ricardo's wide that you just saw. So we're behind Perez, we're on cold tyres at the minute, so we've got to get this up to temperature. We're going to go clean around the outside of Perez, but not much grip yet. These tyres are still cold. But the 2-stop should work out fine though. You can see what Ericsson is, that's pretty straightforward. Leclerc's gone for the one stop, so at least we're going to have a contrasting strategies which will make this race a little bit more interesting. But here we go, then let's make an overtake, shall we? It's been a quiet race so far, so let's add some overtakes to it. Down the inside of Perez at the hairpin. Very nice move there, textbook overtake. Now we're going to try and get past Fernando Alonso. We should get a beautiful toe, hot lap and rich mix here. Get the toe all the way up to Spoon. Alonso does go defensive and runs hot. We're going to cut inside. Alonso there, a little bit of contact. He tried to come back onto the racing line and try and cut me off, but no way through, and we get past the McLaren. Now we've got left is Ericsson and Sainz, who I'm expecting maybe they might come in this lap, or at least maybe Sainz will, considering Hulkenberg did on the last lap. But here we go then, into the final corner. Let's get it all slowed down for the chicane. Let's see what they do, and it looks like Sainz comes in, Ericsson stays out. So there we go, up to P3 now. Now let's try and get past Marcus Ericsson, and we're back at the P2. Oh, VSC. That was a huge screen freeze, but VSC deployed. Esteban Ocon out of the race. Oh, okay, interesting. If it's been a full safety car, that would have given us the race there. That would have been interesting because Leclerc hasn't pit yet, so that could have blown things wide open, but instead it's a VSC. That's not too bad though. I think the VSC should be in before the end of the lap, therefore I don't think Leclerc will benefit from it, which is good. Okay, I kind of need this VSC to come in now. There we go, it's ending now any second, but I think Leclerc is going to benefit from the VSC a little bit. Up to speed then. Here we go, DRS enabled. I think Leclerc is going to benefit, I really do, which is a shame because I think he's coming in this lap. Up to speed then, let's try and get after Ericsson straight away. Ericsson will have to stay out one more lap, so if I can get the run out the final corner, that'd be phenomenal, and that'd be ideal, to be honest with you, to not get stuck behind the S's. Into the chicane. Over the curbs a bit there, quite aggressive. Ericsson actually stays out, interestingly enough. DRS open. Has Leclerc come in? Yes, he has, it seems. Another screen freeze there, but we're far too, nowhere near Ericsson there. We're going to almost have him there into turn 2. We're going to go around the outside and find the grip, and we're going to power past the Sauber there. Very easy move. Leclerc has now picked for the mediums. So there we go, we're back into the normal order. And we're on a different strategy now, so this could be interesting. If there's like a safety car or something, or a VSC for my second stop, it could blow this race wide open. Now we're just kind of waiting out and hoping something will happen. Let's try and pump in the lap times on these tyres and see if we can at least reel in Leclerc. But we've lost a lot of ground now, gap's over 8 seconds, so hasn't really worked out according to plan. But then again, I can never seem to get any time on Leclerc in the pit stop phase. He always gains time on me in a pit stop phase, Leclerc, whether it's through traffic or just AI being OP on the outlap. I can never undercut any time on Leclerc, which is pretty incredible, but it's just the way it is. I can't lie, I'm not really enjoying these softs so far. They're not as good as I thought they'd be. My lap times are okay, but Leclerc's just as fast in the mediums, so that's kind of annoying. But also, again, kind of expected. I just can't beat Leclerc, unfortunately. He's just still too fast, so it's looking like P2 this race. So I'm sorry for it being a very, very boring race. There won't be many highlights in it, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles, and I'm bored of it myself, to be honest, but I can't really do much about it, unfortunately. Yellow flag on the pit straight as we have a bit of a wobble there. Nico Hulkenberg's out of the race in the Renault. Not sure what happened there. Will it trigger a safety car or VSC maybe? Seems like it's not going to, would have probably been released by now. Oh, I'm not sure where that came from, but a purple lap 26.0 makes a change. Gap's still 7.6 though. We're going to be coming in soon as well, so the tyres are actually not that new anymore, 9 laps old. But we managed to put in a pretty decent lap there. 2 in a row. Don't know where this pace is coming from. We're putting in this lap for another set of softs, so makes a change. Okay then, so in lap time, we're going to pit in for another set of softs. We've got a nice comfortable gap, which is not an issue. So we're going to come in a little bit hot there into the chicane, just overdoing it a little bit. This will be our last stop of the race, on for another set of soft compound tyres. That's not speed, there we go, nice and easy. So Leclerc's going to win, he's going to win by quite a dominant margin. If there's a safety car now, oh boy, it would blow the race wide open if there was a safety car right now. Alonso's P3, he's on mediums going to the end, but he's like 38 seconds behind, so we should be comfortable right in second. And pretty much it's going to be just having fun now for the last 9 laps of the race, just pretty much putting some time trial / qualifying laps and see what we can do as Ericsson jumps up into third. So here we go then, up to speed, and let's have a little bit of fun here on these soft tyres and see if we can at least bag the fastest lap of the Grand Prix for a change. At least the good thing about this race is that Leclerc definitely won't be setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Even if he starts to speed up at the end of the race, I don't think he's going to do it this time. As we set 25.5, and I've got a little bit more pace in the bank still, so let's keep pushing. Let's have a little bit of fun.
Some information on Gasly. They're retiring from the race.
Okay, Gasly and Sorokin out at the same time. There's lots of debris there at the final chicane. Somehow we're not going to get a safety car though. Right then, going through Spoon. Charles Leclerc should cross the line any minute. There you go. He's going to win the Japanese Grand Prix. I'm having a little bit of fun this last lap. I actually turned down the engine, let everything save. I'm going to push in this last lap just to end on a high. But overall, the best we could have hoped for this race. We tried a different strategy. Didn't really work out, and my teammate got crashed out of the race, unfortunately. And Ericsson's still going to get a P3. So not an ideal race here today, but we are going to get P2 and damage limitation in the championship. So, grazie ragazzi, grande macchina, grande gara, and fantastica giornata. But we go again the next race, and hopefully we can try and go faster the next time.
A great win then for the Sauber team today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
So, here they come out now, onto the podium after a thrilling Grand Prix. It just goes to show what a strong position the sport is in, that these independent teams can be so competitive. What a superb victory from the Sauber team.
Right, so looking at the final race results, Charles Leclerc wins. We come home P2 and Marcus Ericsson P3 in the Japanese Grand Prix. A very dominant performance here from the Monegasque driver in the Sauber there. 25 seconds clear of myself and 50 seconds clear of his own teammate, and lapped all the way up to 11th place. So really dominant performance from Charles Leclerc. Then we've got Alonso P4, Ricciardo P5, Carlos Sainz 6th, and then we've got Magnussen, Van Dorn, Perez and Grosjean running out the point scorers. And then Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Stroll, Hartley, Gasly, Sorokin, Hulkenberg, Ocon and Vettel, my own teammate, retiring from the Grand Prix / not scoring points. So yeah, quite a few retirements that race actually, 5 of them to be exact. In terms of what the race means for the Drivers' Championship though, we are 13 points clear of Charles Leclerc. He cuts down the gap even more going into the final few races, but hopefully we can put some more upgrades on the car in this episode for the next race. We do have another ultimate chassis upgrade arriving for the Mexican Grand Prix, but until then we need to try and fill the gap and we need to get some more upgrades on the car. In terms of the constructors though, we are now 68 points behind Sauber, and the constructors after that race with Vettel retiring and Ericsson getting third is starting to look very, very bleak and quite tricky to achieve. With that being said though, let's move to the laptop and let's get some upgrades onto this car for the next coming races. Okay, so here we are then on the R&D screen, and we've got two options. We go for more ultimate upgrades, which in this case would be the aerodynamics, or we go for the engine for a major upgrade, which would take 1 week less, aka 1 race less, or we go for chassis and we go for minor. Now, I'm really on the fence about this. I don't know whether to go for an ultimate aero upgrade or a major engine one to get the maximum engine power on the car, pretty much. It's going to be really, really tricky. I'm looking at the aero, and they're both the same price, and both of them would actually make us the best car in the aerodynamic side of things. And we still have 400 points left over, give or take. So I'm kind of leaning towards this one, to be honest, and I really want to have some good rear downforce. I think that's where I want to work on the car, so we're going to try and get that on, I think, and that should arrive for the penultimate race in Brazil. We still have 397 points in the bank, and hopefully in the next race we will buy the major engine power one, and fingers crossed we can then start to have some really good upgrades coming on the car very soon. But for the next race, we won't have nothing on the car directly, but you can see on the right hand side, the upgrades that are coming are going to really push us towards Sauber in terms of the development progress. So things are looking good, but we need to wait a couple of races for it to come to fruition. We are 13 points clear in the championship, so realistically, if Leclerc wins the next two and I come second in the next two, Leclerc will be leading by 1 point after the next two races, which is when the upgrades should arrive. So I think it's worth it, and I think we can sacrifice one more race, to be honest, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that is the right call. With that being said, though, guys, that is going to be it for this episode of Career Mode. If you did enjoy it, then please do drop a like, and also get subscribed if you are new for daily Formula 1 and MotoGP content, and turn on notifications to not miss a video from me, and finally check out these two videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.